Hello and welcome back to the Nonstop Podcast. My name is Erica and I'm your host. On today's episode, we're discussing ladies traveling solo, and I have the beautiful Jovana and Leslie approved on the way. Next Up Nonstop is a travel and lifestyle podcast that promotes the importance of traveling and mental wellness for millennial women. We discuss everything from travel to dating and careers to mental health. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's get into it. Leslie, you want to start off and introduce yourself to the folks?
Sure. Hi, I'm Leslie. My social media is all Leslie approved. I am a solo traveler and have been traveling domestically and internationally for 4 to 5 years now, and I love it.
Yeah, that's
I'm based
awesome.
out of Texas, but I travel everywhere pretty much now.
H Town. All right, perfect. And Jovana, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Jovana in Serbian.
Jovana, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
so
it's
sorry.
fine. I like when I like when Americans call me Jovana. So I'm from Serbia. I'm a travel blogger. I visited 78 countries so far. I've started traveling 7 years ago. When I moved to United States, I went on a student exchange. I made some money, and I decided to spend my money on traveling, and that's how my travel story started. My life goal is actually to visit every country in the world. So I hope
Love
maybe in
it.
10, 15 years, I will accomplish it.
I love that. All right. Well, let's get into it because these ladies have fantastic stories and I cannot wait to hear them. Giovanna, let's actually start with you. What's the
Mhm.
very first place that you traveled to solo and how was that experience?
So the first place I went was Moscow, actually.
Okay.
And I went there because I used to live in Moscow like
Okay.
15 years ago when I was in my high school. I was
Okay.
studying Russian language in my high school. One of the subjects was Russian, and then I decided to go there. I had a layover. I was on my trip to Kazakhstan to visit a
Hmm.
friend. So I decided to spend 2 3 days in Moscow. So that was actually my first solo experience and my first
Oh,
hostel experience.
yeah.
And in the beginning, I was traveling solo to places where I either been before
Mhm.
or I knew someone. So, for example, maybe my next trip was Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So I went there. I had a friend, like I still have a friend, but
Hmm.
I met her in United States, and then I decided to visit her for 3 days in Santo Domingo, and then
Yeah.
when I kind of got a little bit familiar with the culture, with the people, I went to Punta Cana by myself for 4 days.
Oh, I
So in the
love it.
beginning, I was like trying to, to go to some places where I wasn't maybe afraid to go.
Yeah.
But after maybe a few trips, I just realized I can travel wherever I want.
I
So
love it.
maybe yeah. So it was like, as I said, in 2016, maybe it was my first solo trip.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. So, Leslie, what inspired you to start traveling solo?
I think mine was actually around the same year, also around 2016.
Yeah.
It was kind of by accident. So I was traveling to California with family,
Mm,
and they were visiting other family members. And so I flew there because I was like, okay, free stay, great. Paid
mm-hmm.
for my own ticket there. But once we were there, they were just kind of bonding. And, when you're visiting family, you want to spend time with them and you don't really care to sightsee and all of that.
Yeah.
I believe it was my first time in California, actually. So I wanted to do a few things. We were near the
Yeah.
beach. I wanted to do that. So I ended up renting my own car and just did my own thing from there. I figured if I can be alone in California and just figure my way out through
Mm-hmm.
things, why not? And ever since then, I just started making my own trips and not waiting for anyone to join me pretty much.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like sometimes if you wait for somebody, you're gonna be waiting forever. Okay.
Yes. You'll never see anything.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, but I think it's so great because for me anyway, like traveling solo has been a massive confidence booster. Just knowing that you can do these things, right? Would you agree with
For
that, you
sure.
guys?
For sure.
Definitely,
Oh
definitely.
yeah. All right, perfect. So, Giovanna, what is your favorite place to go to and why?
Well, it's really difficult to say because there are so many
So many.
amazing places in this world, but maybe top three
Yeah.
countries. I cannot say just like one destination,
Yeah.
but I really love Mexico, Peru,
Mm, mhm.
and maybe Bali.
I love that.
Yeah.
So why would you choose those places?
Just because of the diversity.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you go to Peru, you can go to a desert to
Yeah,
do like some really great hikes. There's a lot of history.
love
On
that.
the other side, there are amazing beaches,
Mhm.
cities, food, locals. So each of those places is like very, like every part of the country is very different, and that's why I liked it. Like you just go to one country and it's like the whole
See
world in
so
one
much.
country.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, and that's one of the best parts. And that's I feel like those are some of the greatest trips where you can go and you can just literally do anything and everything. You can get a
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
of all of it all at once. I love that. So, Leslie, what are some things that you've learned about traveling?
I mean, I think solo traveling forces you out of your own comfort
Oh,
zone,
yeah.
and you just learn things that you wouldn't normally by just staying in one place. And when you don't have anyone to depend on, when you're the one that
Yes.
has to do everything yourself, I mean, I would like to say that I've learned to navigate my way through like the public transport,
Yeah,
but I was just I still get lost on the train and everything.
it
But
happens.
if anything, how to be on my own more than
yeah.
anything, like be independent and learning how to navigate even when there's the language barrier.
I would agree with that.
I'll
Yeah.
go ahead and share my top three as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I definitely agree with Mexico. I mean, I loved learning about my history and my culture, and being there actually feels so safe. I
Yeah.
would walk around by myself just to go grab coffee, go out to eat, and everything. And people have this big misconception of Mexico,
Yes.
and it's just
Mhm.
like once you're there, you don't see what they talk about. And I think when you travel anywhere, like doesn't matter where you're going,
Mhm.
there's always going to be places that aren't safe
Of
and places
course.
that are safe.
Of course, yeah.
And if you're in a tourist section, then you're pretty much okay.
Yeah. Generally, I was gonna say, I think the worst thing that I usually have, and again, this is just from my experiences, maybe like some pickpocketing, and
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
far, that's about the worst case scenario generally, right? So I would agree with that for sure. So I'll actually ask both of you this. What are some of your strengths and weaknesses that you've learned about yourself while traveling? And Leslie, I know that you actually kind of touched on that with the confidence, but just in general, have you guys learned any weaknesses or strengths for yourself? Johanna, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So, well, I learned actually how strong I am. Like,
Yeah.
I learned how independent I am, how organized I am. I before I wouldn't say like good organization is my strength,
Yeah.
but when you think how many things I organize and I have no one to help, I'm
Yeah.
on my own. So I'm really, really proud of what I managed to do during my trips.
I
And
love
you know
that.
what? I get really like I'm really thankful for my body that I don't get sick and that I can
Mhm.
like stand even less sleep and that I can, survive in desert and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like not survive, but that I don't I'm really happy that I don't get sick often and
Yeah.
that my body is really, really strong for now and I'm kind of
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
And about my weaknesses, well, I cannot like nothing specific.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't even know what would be like my weakness in it.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, like maybe it would be better if you asked like someone who travels with, like when I travel with someone or
Okay.
my
Mm.
friends. I'm not sure what could I say. It's my weakness. I don't know. Nothing special.
No. I think and that's okay. I was gonna say, and that's part of for me, that's like part of experiences. You learn things about yourself, whether good or bad, you learn things. Good.
Definitely learned how strong and capable I am. That's one of the things that I learned through my travels because I
Absolutely.
wasn't sure, like I didn't know how strong I am before I started doing so many things on my own.
Mhm. I love that. And Leslie, how about you?
I think one of the things that I learned is that I really don't have many fears. I used to
Oh
Yes.
think that I was afraid of heights.
Yeah.
And then I was in Costa Rica and we did something called the Tarzan swing, where
Ooh.
they literally pushed me off of it. And I mean, I was screaming for my life. But after that, I was like, okay, I can do this again. No
Yeah.
biggie.
Oh, that's
And I
fun.
mean, the places that I've hiked as well,
Mhm.
they've been so high up. And I'm like, I say that I'm afraid of heights,
Yeah.
but really, once you're there, it's like, I'm not going to get this opportunity again.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and hike that mountain, jump off that cliff. Like, I guess that's one of the things that I learned, that really there's nothing that I fear when
Oh,
it
I
comes to
love
it.
it. Yeah, I love that. And
Yeah,
what
And
that
about any
I agree.
weaknesses?
I also don't have a fear of heights, but
Yeah.
still, I go to so many high places.
That's fun of it. You have to do it. I feel like if you're in a space and you have like not necessarily a once in a lifetime situation, but something you know it doesn't happen often,
yeah,
do it. Do it, right? Just
for
hear my
sure.
voice, okay? If anybody else is out there, just do it. Just do it.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
just do it.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Leslie, what about any weaknesses?
I guess again navigating, just
Yeah.
because if I ask for directions and they tell me, okay, straight, turn to the right and then to the left, by the time they're at the third stop, I'm already like,
What was
okay,
that? Yeah.
back up. What was it? Yeah. I'm like, please just tell me the place so I can
Oh.
GPS
You,
it and I'll figure it out along the way.
you
But
don't have any sense of
navigating,
direction?
I really don't. I
That's
mean,
so funny.
I'll make it there, but
Yeah.
I might miss a train or two on the way for sure.
It happens to the best of us. Okay, so ladies, what are some precautions you take as a woman when you travel? Giovanna, you want to start?
Yeah, so I always make sure that my parents and my friends know where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always try maybe to buy a local SIM card or, always to have my location turned on.
Yes. Yep.
And of course, I don't walk alone during night
Mm-hmm.
or I walk through touristy places. So I just kind of respect the rules of the country I'm
Yeah.
in and, dress if there are some rules when I'm traveling
Mm-hmm.
through Western countries. I will always try to be, very modest and,
For sure.
just some common sense things, I
Mm-hmm.
think,
Absolutely.
and if I need a local guide, I will hire a local guide. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I just like pay, for example, when I'm alone, I would pay to a receptionist to follow me. When I was in Cairo in Egypt, I really wanted to go on
Ah.
That's a
a
great
local
idea.
market. And then I was, I became very friendly with the receptionist and I told him like, hey, I want to pay maybe 20, 30 euros if you could follow me for a few hours. And
Yeah.
it was great. Like we really had so much fun.
Wow.
And yeah, so those would be some of my advices.
Very cool. I never thought about that. That's awesome.
I've
Leslie, how
never
about
thought
you?
about the receptionist thing either.
Yeah. I
That's
was like,
a great
never thought.
idea.
So many
Definitely.
nice people who want to make some extra money. And for me, for
Yeah.
example, he was cheaper than a random tour guide.
Yeah.
So and he was really friendly. He spoke English very well. I could
Mm-hmm.
see he's a nice guy
Yeah.
that he doesn't want to, to be rude or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we just, that was one really good experience. Or for example, if I get friendly with a taxi driver, just ask him,
Mm-hmm.
hey, do you want to be my taxi driver for the whole day?
For the day.
Or I
Yeah.
will pay a little bit more, or traveling so much, I am kind of, how to say, my intuition became
Mm-hmm.
very good. And
Yes.
because I have so many followers and I talk with so many people constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So literally on first message, I can kind of hear or like feel what do you want? What do you
Ah.
and it's
Okay.
always
If their
my
intentions are good or not.
yes,
Yeah.
my like my guts or
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's the expression in
Yeah.
English,
Yeah.
kind of never tricked me. So I
I
just learned
love
to
that.
listen
Yeah.
to myself and to
Mhm.
be very like to be open-minded, cautious, of
Mhm.
course, but still to try to see, the small signs and everything. And I'm trying to be a good person, and then I think good people come on
Yeah.
my way.
I would agree with that. And going back to the
Definitely.
question we had before, that's a strength for sure. Being able to follow
Yeah,
your intuition because
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily come naturally for everybody. I feel like you have to be
yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
in tune with yourself and trust yourself, you know what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, people sometimes they get afraid, they don't
Yeah.
know how to listen to their intuition.
Yeah.
And I've just learned during time and during I have so many people that I'm in touch every day, constantly.
Mhm.
So I've just learned how to know people and how to
Yeah.
recognize good and how
Yeah.
to divide them from bad people.
I love that. And that
I
takes
think that's
time. So it takes time and experience. Go
Yeah, yeah,
ahead,
yeah,
Leslie.
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
I think that's one thing that you definitely learn on the way, like your intuition. More than anything, you can always tell, like, and of course, it's going to sometimes steer you wrong, but for the most part, if you follow your gut,
Mhm.
you'll be okay. Like, you know who has good intentions, and you know what
Yeah.
people are kind of sketchy, and you can
Mm-hmm.
tell by certain little things that you
A little
do
voice in
hear
your head.
now and there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'll say,
And
mm-mm, watch it.
your question was, what do you do as to
Like
take
precautions.
precautions?
Yeah. So what are your
Yeah,
precautions you take as a woman when you travel?
it's definitely that. And like paying attention to things around you, making sure you're vigilant about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. If I'm walking by myself somewhere and there's like the windows of the stores and stuff, I will randomly look at them to make sure that there's nobody behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there is somebody behind me, I make sure to see how far they're going with me.
Yes.
If they're
100.
constantly like following you, they turn where you turn,
Mm-hmm.
you got to make sure that you're careful with that. But
Absolutely.
I think anywhere you go, this is something that everybody should do. Just
Yeah,
pay
for
attention
sure.
to your surroundings for sure.
Absolutely.
And the whole location thing, the people closest to me always have my location,
Yeah.
so they're able to check if
Mm-hmm.
I'm in one place for a while and just check up on me and all that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. um those are two things I think that are just the most important.
Absolutely. Well, I love that one because that makes a lot of sense, and I do the same thing. And I think most women, or most people,
Yeah,
maybe even men, should keep their location on. I mean, just for safety in general,
safety.
even when you're at home, you know. So, have either of you guys had any concerning situation happen while you're traveling solo? And if so, how did you handle that? Leslie, you want to start?
So I actually, Mexico, I love it, but everybody started going to Tulum
Uh huh.
recently with the whole pandemic. That's one of the
Yes.
places that was very
Uh,
accessible.
it stayed
Yeah.
open. Yeah. So
Yeah.
actually went to Mexico last year in
Yeah.
January, and it was
See, yeah.
perfect.
So when I was in Tulum, I think it was before the whole pandemic. It was
Okay.
about maybe 3 to 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I got my car broken into, and I had my passport stolen, my driver's
Oh
license,
no.
everything important on there, even my credit cards, everything. So I was with two girlfriends at the time, and
Hmm.
one of them also had their passport in there. My situation was how to get back into the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
So what we did, luckily, I was flying with an American-based airline. I was flying
Okay.
with Southwest.
Hmm.
This is another precaution actually. Always when traveling abroad, take a picture of your passport, your driver's license, all
Yep.
your identifying information,
Yep.
email it to yourself and to
Hmm.
somebody that you trust.
Hmm.
So I hadn't done that, but luckily my sister did from the
Okay.
time that we were in Colombia together.
Hmm.
And she emailed it to me. I was able to print it out at my hotel. I printed
Love
out
it.
my passport, my driver's license, and I presented that to Southwest
Hmm.
once at the airport, and they verified that it was me. They took a picture of me, and they were texting like CBP, I think it's called, some type of customs,
Okay.
and they allowed me to board. They said,
Love
"Okay,
that.
we
Yeah.
we believe you're Leslie. Go ahead and go
Wow.
on."
Yeah. See, but that happens more often than you would think. And that's the
Mhm.
number one thing that people always say. Make sure you have a copy of it in your luggage. You know what I mean? So just have that with you. That's the number one thing for sure. That's awesome. And
Now I
Giovanna, what do you
definitely
do?
carry it on
Oh, for
in
sure. I
my
bet.
luggage. Now I do.
I bet you do. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
Giovanna, what about you? Have you ever had a concerning situation happen while you were traveling solo? And if so,
Yeah,
how'd you handle it?
so the only situation I had, like bad situation, was actually in Colombia. I got robbed in Colombia the first day I arrived. Yeah.
Oh no.
So, but still, it was good because I didn't notice anything.
Hmm.
Literally, I didn't notice anything. They were so professional, and I didn't have a lot of money with me. I just had maybe
Okay.
$50 because I
Okay.
left, the other part of my money. I left it
Hmm.
in my hotel,
Okay.
and I've lost maybe $100 when I was in Tanzania. So
Okay.
that's the only thing I had. So it was fine. Like I was okay with that. I was even happy because my passport was left at the hotel and
Yeah.
my wallet was at the hotel. So I was kind of even happy when I
Yeah.
just because the money is missing. I don't care.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So you didn't have to really do anything about that. You just everything was
No,
already
no,
back at the
no.
hotel.
I was
Okay.
just like, I was just robbed, and I said, it's okay. Like it could be much, much worse.
So those experiences, so when you got robbed, does that hinder you from going back to Colombia
No,
or
no,
being,
no. Of course,
worried
no.
about
I
any?
stayed there for 16 days, so
Yeah.
I
Okay.
had really good experience after.
Yeah.
And actually, to be honest, like the first time I got robbed before
Mhm.
Colombia, it was in my own country,
Yeah,
and it was
well,
like
that's
in a really peaceful place. So
mhm.
I'm not concerned about getting robbed. I'm just
Mhm.
concerned about getting hurt. Like
Yes.
if
Mhm.
someone's physically going to harm me,
Yeah.
but being robbed for me, that's nothing. It's not a
Material
big
stuff
thing.
can always be
And
replaced.
especially, like, I always try to keep my passport at a hotel and to
Yeah.
keep, the bigger amount of money in the hotel and just
Mhm.
bring my card or maybe 100 or $200
Yeah.
in case someone attacks me so I
Mhm.
can
You have
kind of
something
give
to
them the
give them.
money.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I most likely look for.
Yeah.
So I hope this will be the last situation.
Yeah, hope so. It sucks, and it's jarring, if nothing else. In that moment, you don't know what's gonna happen. So,
Yeah, yeah,
luckily,
yeah,
you are okay, you're safe, and like I was saying earlier, material things can always be replaced. That's
yeah,
it.
definitely,
I
Yep.
definitely.
definitely agree. Like it
Mhm.
could have always been worse. Like at least I wasn't harmed or anything like that.
Yeah.
That is more what I would be scared of. If getting robbed, yes, everything can be replaced, and
Yeah.
it happens even when you're in your own country. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I
Yeah,
think
so
that Joanna mentioned another good precaution to take, like leaving stuff in your hotel and not having everything on you at
yes.
once.
Yes. I think some people get nervous. They're like, "Oh, I don't want, maybe housekeeping to come in." But I'm like, "That's what the
Yeah.
safe is for?" Most, if not all, hotels that I've been to always have a safe somewhere. So, use it wisely, you guys. What do you consider when you're traveling to another place or a different place that you haven't been to? What's some of the things you think about before you get there?
I always look for a local experience,
Mm,
and I like to have a little bit like unique hotels. For example, I like to
yeah.
stay in a unique hotel, so I like to try local food, to talk with locals.
Yes.
I always try to connect with locals, maybe even before, thanks to Instagram, Facebook,
Mhm.
different travel groups that I'm in.
I love that.
So, and for me, I like the beach, but it's like that's not why or how I choose my destinations. It's more about their uniqueness because
I
I
love
like
that.
to
Yeah.
travel to some places that are not that well known. Of
Mhm.
course, first I visited all, basic locations, and I always
Yeah.
think like, yes, when you start traveling, you should definitely go to Paris. Don't go to
Oh, yeah.
Pakistan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But eventually, when you ask me, do I prefer going to France or Pakistan? I would say, yeah, I had much better time in Pakistan because for me it was like a, life-changing
Mm.
trip. For
Yeah.
example, it's so cool, so interesting. I've never seen anything similar before.
Wow.
So yeah, for me, maybe like local experience and attractions that we don't have chance to see every day, and we don't have
Yes.
chance to see with everyone.
Yeah, I would agree with that. How about you, Leslie?
I think one of the things that's the same, the uniqueness, definitely
Mhm.
want to show people places that they wouldn't normally consider, places
Absolutely.
that aren't that you don't see everywhere or every day.
Mhm.
But another thing is also the weather. I am
Mm.
not a
Oh yeah,
cold
yeah, I
type
agree.
of
I
person.
definitely agree.
Winter is not my season. I prefer definitely
I
the sun.
definitely agree.
So if I can avoid traveling during the winter, or if I can go somewhere where it's the opposite, that's
Yeah.
definitely what I will do. Like December and January, I prefer to stay at home.
That's funny. I like that. I'm not too bad. I mean, I would prefer warm weather, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily mind so much about the cold as long as it's not like negative anything. If it's
Yeah.
like 10 degrees and less, you can count me out. Other than that, I think I'd be okay, right? That's
Yeah.
cool. So, what is some of the most memorable moments you guys have while traveling solo? And Leslie, I'll keep with you.
So I think I my biggest trips are always for my birthday. I like to
Mhm.
celebrate in a different country.
Yes,
And
me too.
this past year I went to Austria. I had
Oh,
never even considered Austria as a destination, to be honest,
yeah.
but I wanted to go somewhere nearby, and it was on the way. So once I got there, I had just so many things happen that aligned, that one thing would, like, I would get declined for something, but then
Mhm.
something better would come along.
Ah,
And it was just kind of this serendipity. I
yeah,
don't know how to say it, but it was just the kind of moment where you realize that if something works out, it's because it's not for you and something bigger is coming.
I love
It,
that.
it was just a surreal moment throughout the whole trip.
Wow. So what are some of the things you did there, and how did you I know you said it was on the way, but what do you mean on the way? Where were you going initially, or where'd you want to go?
So my final destination was Croatia.
Ooh, okay.
So I jumped around from Austria to Hungary to Slovakia, I think I also went
Oh, I
to, and
love
then
it.
ended up in Croatia. And one of the things that happened is that I hadn't booked, I think, 4 nights.
Mhm.
My last 4 nights, I hadn't booked them. And I ended up getting a partnership with a 5-star hotel. And then I ended up booking this amazing last minute Airbnb that
Nice.
provided me with transportation, like to the airport, and helped
Yes.
my luggage. Like
Oh, I
everything
love
just
it.
worked out.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's a good birthday. Was that this
Mhm.
past birthday?
Yeah, it was this past birthday in
Oh,
September.
that's so nice. I'm glad to hear that. Well, happy early birthday, by the
Thank
way.
you.
And Giovanna, what about you? Any memorable moments?
Yeah, well, for me, let's say it was when I hiked to Rainbow Mountain
Okay.
in Peru.
Yeah.
It was like 5,500 meters. A few days ago, I got like probably like sick disease, height, how to
Altitude
altitude
sickness.
Out
altitude
yeah.
disease. Yes, altitude disease. And I was like really, really weak. I mean,
Oh,
like I
yeah.
didn't have that much strength, but it was my last day, and I was like, I must do that. And the feeling when I really did it, when I climbed to the top, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
And also, for example, when we go back to Pakistan, I had like a Pakistani wedding when I was
Mhm.
like a bride, like fake
Oh,
bride.
wow.
So fun because I wanted to attend a wedding, but it was
Yeah.
Corona time, and
Oh.
so a girl who I met during the trip, she told me why we just don't dress you like a bride, and then the
Yeah.
first it's supposed to last just for one day, like just one photo shoot, and then
Oh.
all the photographers came and makeup artists and
No
designers,
way.
Wow.
and literally so we had like a real wedding. We just didn't have a groom,
Yeah, yeah.
but they were like changing my nails. I even had like
Wow.
contacts. They
Yeah.
changed my eye color, different dresses. It was crazy. And people from Serbia, they gone crazy because they've never seen anything similar. Those
Yeah.
weddings are really, really big thing
Wow.
over there. With
That's
henna
awesome.
all over my hands, and
Yeah.
Wow.
it was such a good experience. And I said, I don't even need to get married after this. Like I had
I've
everything.
had my wedding.
The
I'm good.
dream
Yeah,
wedding.
I will never be as beautiful. Like I will never have, because they really pay attention in
Wow.
beauty and on treatments and everything.
Wow,
So that
that's
was a
fantastic.
crazy experience, definitely.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm jealous, first of all. But that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, I love that. So, because you guys have traveled so often in so many places, what's one place that you haven't been to yet, but you have to go to? It might be your next one or it might be coming up. Which one? Giovanna, will stick with you.
Well, definitely one of the countries I really wanted to visit for a long time is Saudi Arabia, and I go
Hmm.
there in 2 days because I
I
think I
love
will
it.
be probably one of the first tourists from my country to visit it. They've
Wow.
opened for tourism in 2020,
Okay.
January, like about that time, I think,
Yeah.
less or more. And then Corona started, and then now they kind of reopened.
Yeah.
And when I went to apply for a visa, they told me literally the first person who is really going for tourism, not for a
No
religious
way.
tourism. Like you're not
Yeah.
must you go there just as a regular tourist. So I'm really
Wow.
excited to see what does that country has to offer. And one, as I said, my like life goal is to visit every country in the world. So I
Yeah,
don't have. I hope and I think that I will eventually visit everything I wanted to visit.
for
And
sure.
but so far I visited some of the places that were long on my wish list. But maybe I would like to go to Japan, for example.
Yeah.
And I had a ticket for Japan, but COVID and
COVID
so
messed up a whole lot.
that's a lot of things. Maybe I would like to spend more time exploring like African culture.
Yeah.
I mean, countries that are not as touristy,
Yeah.
and so more Africa, Japan, Philippines.
Yeah.
So those are some of the places I would like to visit in,
Oh, I
recent future.
love it. I love that. Yeah, Leslie, what about you?
Definitely Africa. I would
Yeah.
want to explore some countries there.
Mhm.
And I think this one's very basic, but I have yet to see the Northern Lights. And
Oh,
that's
Oh yeah,
definitely
yeah.
big on
yeah.
my bucket list. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make that one happen soon for sure.
Yeah, I think that's so much fun. And so is that the only place that you're, like, on your bucket list, or you have another one?
I really don't have many just because I will randomly look at the map and see like, okay, where can I get a flight
Oh,
to
I love
with
that. That's
like
great, though.
points and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that. Okay, so
Yeah, same
let's
for
see.
me. Like for example, I also like do some things like I fly uh, a balloon in Cappadocia, and then I almost this was like on my bucket list for such a long time. So I don't
Yeah.
really like kind of go and pick places,
Yeah.
but I have
Mhm.
some things in my mind, and then they
Yeah.
just happen like
Oh, I love
not
it.
really planned, and I'm like, oh my god, I really wanted this my whole life. So
Yeah.
now it's happening.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
the
That actually
same.
happened to me when I think I was going for my 30th birthday, and I always wanted to go to Egypt, but I was like, "Oh no," I got kind of sad because like I'm turning 30, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or however that goes, right? And then my friend hit me up 2 days before, and she's like, "So are we still going to Egypt or no?" And I said, "Well, yeah." So we ended up planning everything in less than 48 hours, an entire week there. So I mean, when it's meant, it's meant. Just at those moments, just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But majority of the time, I feel like some of those trips are the absolute best.
Unexpected ones are the ones that
Yeah,
work out so surprisingly well.
I'm telling you. And I mean, I think sometimes it's just because they're so unexpected, or they were not necessarily not planned, but like just it's on a whim, or you just have more freedom. You didn't Not everything is planned to the second. You know how some people like to plan every single moment of the trip. I'm like, you have a little bit more freedom to do things and just kind of figure it out and meet the locals, like you were talking about, Giovanna. So those
Yeah,
are
yeah.
great. So, how often do you guys actually travel solo? And Leslie, I'll start with you.
I travel weekly.
Oh, I love that.
So
Yeah.
I travel solo weekly, internationally obviously not, but
Yeah. Yeah.
domestically for sure I travel weekly, and then internationally just whenever I can every few months.
Yeah. I love that. And Giovanna, how about you?
Yeah, me too. I like really travel very often, so it all depends. Sometimes I have like 5 trips per 1 month, and
Love it.
I mostly travel internationally. But the
Hmm.
thing is, like, Serbia is located very well. I mean, like, we are in the middle of the world, so
Yeah.
and we are in Europe, so
Mhm.
it's easy. Like, if I go to Austria, it's just few hours by car. So for
Yeah.
me, that's internationally. And for you to go internationally, you must take a flight, and
Yeah.
it's just
Minimum 9 to 10 hours.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, yes, of course. So that's the difference because whenever I go to Europe, it's very close. I mean,
Yeah.
like flight is 1 hour or you can drive. So I mostly travel internationally outside of my country now.
Yeah.
During COVID times, I was traveling around Serbia and region, like neighbor countries. Now I go a little bit further, but of course I try to go back like it was before COVID time now. So now I would like just to go to more places where I haven't been before because mostly all of European countries I've visited so far because they're
Hmm.
just so close. So or Egypt for us, Egypt is so normal. Everyone goes to Egypt, like
That's crazy. Yeah. I'm like, that is
everyone goes.
insane. I think I'm the first person in my family to go. So I love to
Yeah,
hear you say
it's
that.
on everyone's bucket list. Like going to Egypt is so normal for us. But I also visited Egypt last year because for me it was
Yeah.
boring. Like everyone was in Egypt. And then I got really
I love that.
surprised because it's so beautiful. But that's the
Yeah.
and for you maybe going to Caribbean is nothing special because
Yes. Everybody. Yep.
but for us going for Caribbean, people will save the whole life to go to visit one Caribbean island or to
No way.
it's so
That's
far
just
away
incredible. Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
expensive for us. Like
Yeah.
for you coming to Europe, it's the same for us going to that
Yeah.
part of the world.
Yeah. And it actually leads us into my next question. So, how do you guys save? Like, what are your suggestions for saving? Or I know you talked about points at one time, Leslie. So, like, give me an idea of how you guys get the funds to actually travel. And Giovanna, we'll start with you.
So as I've said, my first money for traveling I made in the United States by
Hmm.
waitressing. So the student exchange is called work and travel.
Hmm.
So the idea is you get your student visa. Actually, it's like a work and travel visa
Okay.
for 5 months. You have
Hmm.
4 months of working and 1 month of traveling to the United States. So I used to work for 4 months, literally
Hmm.
15 hours a day, no day off as a
Yeah.
waitress. And
Hmm.
then I could save a lot of money. And then I spent that money on traveling during other 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
And then eventually, as I said, my 5 years of my life were like that. I was working for 4 months and traveling the
Hmm.
rest of the year. But
I love
now
that.
I'm a full-time travel blogger. So now I make money out of traveling. I don't
Yeah.
need to save money. Each trip I find as an investion. So I
Investment.
Investment. Yeah.
yeah, so this is my job now. So if I go somewhere where I need to pay, I don't find it as an expense. I'm like investing.
I
And
love
I'm
that.
sad that I didn't understand that before, because
Yeah.
maybe I would do this job much earlier. But
Yeah.
I never wanted to travel to become a blogger. I just wanted to travel because I liked it, and then
Yeah.
it just happened.
Yeah.
So
And I was gonna say, like we were just talking about, sometimes it just happens, and those are the
Yeah.
best things.
just
Yeah.
happen, definitely. So that's for me. And if you ask me how you should save,
Hmm.
like I if you think how much money you spend on going to restaurants or maybe buying
Yes.
cigarettes or going out, you can just
Yep.
imagine how you can save. And there are so many places that are really cheap to go. If you
Hmm.
find maybe cheap tickets, like in Asia, like you can literally live on $20 per day. So
Wow. Love it.
or come to Serbia.
Yeah.
You don't spend a lot of
Yeah.
money. It's a beautiful country, so I really invite you to come here and visit me
Oh.
and to be my guest. So
Uh-oh.
if
I was
you
gonna say, I'm on the way. Don't you say?
When are we going? When are we going, Erica?
I'm on the way. I
sometimes,
love it.
as I said, when I lived in the United States, and we can also kind of go back to that story where people
Yeah.
think Mexico is not safe. and
Yes.
and I always say it's propaganda, because people, when I,
Yes.
for example, go to Brazil, people say, oh no, you will get killed there.
I've
And
heard
then I
that.
say
Yeah.
to my people, are you aware that an average American think we have war here, and we don't have
Yeah.
war for like 30 years?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Propaganda is a really, really bad thing, and
Mhm.
people are not aware how beautiful is, for example, my country.
Yeah.
And they don't even know where is it, or they're afraid.
Yeah.
So I'm the happiest when I have my friends, for example, who have money. And Americans,
Yeah.
of course, have money compared to Serbians.
Yeah.
And when they decide to spend their money here, and
Yeah.
they really enjoy, like they're super happy, they're like, we want to move here.
Yeah.
And it always
I love that.
happens. And
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy to kind of share the story about my country, and also to tell people there are so many places that are really cheap to travel. You don't need to be rich to travel.
Yeah. There you go. Say that. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially
And how
when you live
about
in the United States, where you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time. If you
yeah?
want to do work, you can go, find some extra job,
Mm-hmm.
pick up some extra hours, and
Yeah.
go to somewhere where it's cheap.
Yep. Get creative, hustle a little bit. You can
Couch
get it.
surfing, different websites that offer,
Mm-hmm.
promotions. I think you can collect miles. Also,
Yeah. Yeah.
your credit cards offer some deals.
Benefits.
So
Yeah.
there are many, many different ways.
Yeah. And Leslie, what do you think?
So I definitely agree with the whole points thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do travel weekly, I've acquired so many miles, and all my trips to Europe have been basically free,
Love
$100
it.
maybe in taxes, but that's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, so I acquire miles that way, but also credit card points.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I'm not going to do a promotional because I'm not getting paid for it. But
Yeah. There you go.
yeah, definitely look into the credit cards and how many points they have. The one that I currently have, I was able to pay for a few Airbnbs and even get
Love
like
that.
a
Yeah.
discount on my hotels.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that Joanna also touched on is people invest in what they want. People have luxury handbags.
Mm-hmm.
They go out every weekend to go out to eat. I personally spend my money on travel. That's
Yep.
that's
It's
where
your
all my money
priority.
goes
Yeah.
to. Yeah, that's definitely my priority. It has been
Mm-hmm.
for a while. So I budget certain things in order to afford my travels. I
Mm-hmm.
allocate my funds towards that, and that's pretty much what I spend.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, if you are looking to travel, anybody who's listening here is most likely someone who wants to travel, who travels often. Yeah, that's it. Make it a priority. I would
Mhm.
agree 100% with that. So, before we wrap it up today, ladies, I want to ask you one more question. So, for anybody who's out there who is hesitant to maybe travel solo, or just feel like they don't have the money, or just that confidence isn't there just yet, do you have any advice for them? And I'll go ahead and I'll start with you, Leslie.
I would definitely say research when it comes to safety, like we were talking about. It's just a lack of research and not really searching to see what areas are open to tourists, what areas are
Mm-hmm.
safe for tourists. There's I mean, once you Google a place, it'll show red zone that are super
Yeah.
dangerous, and cops sometimes won't even enter those places. So
Wow.
definitely research where you're going to see how safe it is,
Mhm.
and plan your budget around it. You can do a luxury hotel, or you can do plenty of activities and stay at a hostel, for example. So
Mhm.
just decide what it is that you want to spend on and save that amount.
Yeah, that's some good
Prioritize
advice.
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say priorities. There you go. And Giovanna, what do you think?
Well, I would say connect with people who already do that.
Mhm.
Definitely ask for advices, ask
Yeah.
for kind of moral support,
Yeah.
and just go. Like, if you go on just one solo trip, it doesn't need to be like fully solo. You can join an agency, for example.
Mhm.
You can go on your own without your friend, family,
Mhm.
partner, and just join a group.
Mhm.
And that would be, for example, the first step. And I would definitely say go to like more touristy places. Don't go
Yeah.
to, I don't know, Saudi Arabia first on your own. Just go to some places that are very touristy, where you can easily, maybe you go somewhere where they speak your language if you don't
Yes.
know other language.
Mhm.
And of course, if you know English, you're probably, very welcome everywhere, and you
Yeah.
can communicate. There is Google Translate. There are so
Yes.
many apps that can help you. You can also, like I say, as I say, join some travel groups, connect with
Mhm.
other travelers. uh, don't be shy, just approach to people, and when you see
Yeah.
someone is alone, like, most probably that person is also would like to have a company.
Yeah.
So although I'm traveling like alone, I'm never alone. I always meet someone interesting from all
I
over the
love
world.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then you make friends and you can actually meet those people in other places, like,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah,
I love
definitely.
that. Yeah, so that's wonderful. And I want to first of all thank you so so much to you guys for stopping and talking with me today. So I want to make sure that the Next Stop Nonstop family who's listening and watching can find you guys if they want to follow you in your travels. And so I'll start with you, Giovanna. Can you let them know where they can follow you on social media?
So on my Instagram, but my last name is so difficult to pronounce, like even in Serbian. So
I
maybe
was
you
gonna
can
say
just
spell
find
it.
it's Jovana,
Mhm.
Jovana Kvrzic. In Serbian,
Okay,
Kvržić. So it's very difficult even in my
got
own.
it.
So, but maybe you can, leave somewhere in a comment or
Yeah, I was gonna
something.
say I'll definitely post it for
Yeah, yeah.
sure. Thank
Thank you.
you. Of course. And Leslie, how about you?
Mine is very simple. It's just Leslie spelled with IE at the end, approved, because I approve of places that I travel to and
I love
different
it.
things that I explore.
Yeah, I
All
love
my
Also,
that.
social media.
I love the name. It's very creative. I really like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time out and talking with us today. I really, really appreciate it. And I cannot wait to watch your travels. And to my Next Stop Nonstop family, I want to remind you that as a new podcast, it's extremely helpful when any of our listeners or viewers go ahead and write a review on iTunes and repost the episode or website link so that we can grow our Next Stop Nonstop family. I want to truly thank you all so much for tuning in with me. All new episodes of the Next Stop Nonstop podcast will release every single week. So make sure you keep an eye out. Make sure to tag at Next Stop Nonstop in any of your comments if you have any topic suggestions or if you just have a question for me. At Next Stop Nonstop can be found on all social media. And be sure to sign up for the Next Stop Nonstop newsletter. You can find that on the website at www.nextstopnonstop.com, and that's just to keep up with any episode releases or any bonus goodies I might have on the way. So until we meet again, I want to wish you healthy minds and happy travels.